surrounded by wrestling fans. Not sports entertainment fans. Professional wrestling fans! Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up! This is
the Wrestling Matters Podcast, a podcast that stands up for professional wrestling. Why? Because wrestling matters. So join the revolution, because the revolution is now.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change!
professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up!
Yes! 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 Yes!
That's 13-14!
American till death!
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.
Why, hello everybody. It's me, HEAD, your favourite podcast host, here for another episode of the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Hope you've had a good week. Hope all is good in your areas where you live. Hope you haven't had no trouble. Hope you've been watching the wrestling and enjoying it too. On today's show, ladies and gents, boys and girls, children of all ages, if there is any children listening to this, and if so, welcome. I don't cater to kids. This is not PG, but if your parents let you watch this, I'm okay with that. Jump on board. Jump on the Wrestling Matters Podcast Revolution, baby. Led by yours truly. That's right. Hosted by yours truly. Also. Now, today, we're going to do our usual routine, as we always do. I have a guest next week, more on that later. But today's show, we're going to do a usual routine. That is right. WWE ROH SmackDown. The one and only NXT. That's right. TNA Impact Wrestling, whatever the heck you're calling it these days. And Ring of Honor. That's right. Also, a welcome return to this side of the podcast. I'm going to be reviewing ICW on this podcast. Now, you're probably wondering to yourself, hey, why are you reviewing ICW podcast? Don't you do an ICW podcast as well? Yeah, I do. But those are for the big shows. The big pay-per-view shows, pay-per-view-like shows, like a Shug's House Party or Fear and Loathing or whatever the heck. On today's show, I'm going to be reviewing ICW Friday Night Fight Club. That's right, the Friday Night Fight Club is back. Episode 6 was up this past Friday. I saw it, and I'm going to review it later on. Also, I will be explaining all about it later on. Also, but we'll kick off this week, ladies and gents, boys and girls, children of all ages, with a promotion. That's right. A shout out to a buddy of mine on Facebook who hails from Liverpool, and he's a damn good friend and a damn good person here on Facebook as well. I've never met the guy in person, but I'd like to meet him in person because he's a wrestling fan. And hell, I'm all about meeting wrestling fans. But this guy has made a lot of the picks for me that you have seen, that I've used on this podcast, whether you're watching this on YouTube, or whether you're seeing this on Podomatic, or whether you saw this on Podomatic, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, etc., etc. He got in touch with me this week to promote a competition that he was doing. Now, before you start, the competition is over. It ended yesterday. However, that's not going to stop me from promoting the show that he was using. So, the show is Super Show Weekend. That's right. The second anniversary weekend of live pro wrestling. It takes place in Mansfield. It takes place Friday night, 17th of July, and Saturday night, 18th of July, so it's a two-nighter, at Forest Town Arena on the Friday and Clipstone Social Club on the Saturday. It features, from what I'm seeing on this poster that I'm looking at right now, it features people like Carlito, Chris Masters, TNA wrestling superstar Mr. Anderson, Hall of Famer himself, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, that's right, WWE Hall of Famer, Martin Kirby, Jack Jester, and the list goes on and on and on. Doors open on Friday at 7 p.m, show starts at 7:30. And on Saturday, doors open at 5:30 p.m, and show starts at 6 p.m. That's right. The tickets, whether you can get tickets from the respectable box offices at the place is holding this. Ticket prices per show. Front row is £17.50. Adult is £12. Child is £7. Family of 4, £30. Ticket prices both shows. Front row £30. Adult £20. child, £12, family of 4, £50. That's for both shows, that one as well. For more information, go to hopewrestling.co.uk for the full ticket information and purchase direct at Smile Designs. And just to be on the safe side, if you've heard of a card for this show, it may change as well. It says card subject to change. No, it's not an NAK joke or NAK gag, New Age click. Card may change. So whatever you might see on the show or whatever you've heard that's going to be taking place on the show, it may very well change. But yeah, if you're in that area, or if you're in the areas of the respectable shows, or if you can get to both days, get yourself down there. It should be an interesting show. I unfortunately will not be there, but doesn't stop you guys from going. Get yourself down there and say hi to Dave Anderson from me as well. That's right, shout out to Dave Anderson, absolute legend for everything that he's done. And I say legend in respects of everything that he's done for me and everything he has tried to do in respects of helping me on the podcast and helping me promote the podcast and getting it out there. Dave Anderson, I really do appreciate it, and not only that, I fucking love you for it too. And anytime you want to come on the show, come on down, okay? Holler at me. I'll be glad to get you on the show. Just make sure you've got Skype. With that being said, ladies and gents, I'm going to have a little quick commercial break, and I'll be back with Raw and SmackDown main points, just to get my breath back, you know, just get in that relaxing mood, as I always like to do on this podcast. And like I say, I'll be back after this quick promo with SmackDown and Raw main points. So stay tuned. Big show today, guys. Be sure to tune in every single Tuesday now for the Wrestling Madness Podcast Extra, where I'll be hosting a podcast on one promotion and one promotion only. ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling, the hottest promotion in Scotland. Well, I'll be reviewing their shows.
Oh my God!
Talking ICW.
That's 13-14!
And who knows, maybe getting some guests on. So be sure to tune in to the Wrestling Madness Podcast Extra ICW Podcast, Insane Championship Wrestling, every Tuesday on YouTube, Podomatic, Stitcher Radio, downloaded free at iTunes, Mixcloud, and SoundCloud. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
World, look into my eyes. When you see me on a show, when you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world. We are ICW and you're gonna know our name. Here we fucking go!
Welcome back to part 2 of the Wrestling Matters Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. My name is the head Anthony Walker, in case you don't know, which I'm sure you do. Now, without further ado, it is time for the Raw and SmackDown main points. Raw kicked off this week with The Authority calling out Dean Ambrose. For those of you keeping score at home, Dean Ambrose still is AWOL, with Seth Rollins' stolen heavyweight championship belt. Triple H promised consequences for the Lunatic Fringe should the title go unreturned. And since Ambrose was nowhere to be found, the game decided to focus his attention on the Madman's accomplice instead, Roman Reigns, who assisted Ambrose heist and was left to take the proverbial bullet for his brother. It was not that Reigns minded a chance to laugh in the face of the frustrated King of Kings, though he was also there to offer Ambrose terms. Ambrose would show his face again if at Money in the Bank the Authority granted him a ladder match for the championship. Despite the outcome, Seth Rollins accepted and stormed off. The game soon found a way to wipe the smile from the big dog's face, so to speak. The COO opted to punish Dean Ambrose's right-hand man, form of a match for his Money in the Bank spot, which doesn't go down very well, as we will find out. He is still money. Roman Reigns, faced with the impromptu defense of his Money in the Bank ladder match opportunity, preserved his spot in a make-or-break contest by knocking off King Barrett, whom the Authority had matched him against as punishment for aiding Dean Ambrose. It was the second night of, well, Bad News, who challenged unsuccessfully for the Intercontinental Championship at the Elimination Chamber, and seemed hampered by the effects of that match early on against Roman Reigns. A lot to read here, guys. The big break came when Rollins collided with the steel stairs on the outside and lost a step in his own in his process. But the winds of change and the rake of the eye still went enough to bring down Roman Reigns to a full stop when Barrett's miss-ending bullhammer swing wide. Reigns unleashed the spear pin and graced keeping his contract dreams alive at Money in the Bank with a victory. Ryback was supposed to face Miz, but apparently that never happened because Big Show came walking out and proceeded to knock out the Miz, for what reason we do not know, and basically just stared down Ryback. A lot of rumours considering where this is going, but we'll have to wait and see. US Champion John Cena confronts NXT Champion Kevin Owens. If the WWE Universe ain't at large don't know who Kevin Owens was before, they certainly do after the NXT Champion beat John Cena in his first match in a WWE ring, which is complete bullshit. WWE ring. I am begging them. NXT's WWE, fucking idiot. Owens' enthusiasm over his star-making victory wasn't even hampered by the news of an independent rematch against the champ. If anything, he found a second win, vowing to defeat Cena, whom his son idolizes, to expose him as a false role model. Cena took exception to the NXT champion's fighting words to the point of daring him to an on-the-spot throwdown. Despite being visibly rallied by the champ, Owens declared this time around choosing instead to meet Cena on his terms and potentially save his energy for the NXT Championship Open Challenge on SmackDown. More on that later. You can't blame him considering the strategy has worked so far. Wait, Owens, wait. Dolph Ziggler beats Kofi Kingston, Tag Team Champion Kofi Kingston. This was just a build up to the Money in the Bank match. And then the match led to Ziggler and Primetime Players versus the New Day. And the New Day still couldn't get a victory. Yep, he is still money. Roman Reigns' second defense of his Money in the Bank ladder match spot. The Authority does not employ a light touch in their punishment. Again, ended in triumph. The margin of victory was a lot slimmer, though, as Reigns needed a technicality to get past Mark Henry in the second bout of the night after getting manhandled by the world's strongest man. Reigns, still sporting the effects of King Barrett's rake to the eyes, managed to rip off a Superman punch that stopped the former World Heavyweight Champion outside the ring and kept him down past the 10 count. The win, narrow though it was, kept Mr. Money in the Bank, Roman Reigns, in the Money in the Bank ladder match for his opportunity. But the price was probably steep. The world's strongest man and splash after the match was over, because that's what Mark Henry does. We'll have to read here, guys. Nikki Bella defeats Paige. Randy Orton defeats Sheamus via disqualification. Neville beats Bo Dallas again. He did it at the Chamber. He did it again. And Roman Reigns defeats Bray Wyatt. He is still money. What's left of him anyway? Roman Reigns, already raked in the face and polarized in the ribs, was forced to put his Money in the Bank opportunity up for grabs for the third time in a single night, and with Bray Wyatt across from him. The big dog had his work cut out for him in a big way. The 2014 Superstar of the Year stepped up in a big way as well, brawling though the pain to keep the Eater of Worlds on his heels despite the presence of the Authority at the top of the ramp. The corporate power didn't wait too long to interfere in the match properly surrounding the ring. After a last gasp Superman punch left Wyatt out and Reigns spent, Reigns recovered in time to turn the tide, shoving the new Face of Fear into Kane on the apron and exploding a spear on the new Face of Fear, or the self-proclaimed Face of Fear. Rebound for 3. Dean Ambrose finally made his entrance right as the Authority began to swarm in the aftermath, assisting Big Dog and beating back Kane, Seth Rollins and J&J Security before escaping once again into the crowd. The craziest part, Ambrose even gave Rollins his title back, tossing it to the Anarchist, or the Architect, hands before Dirty Deedsing it out of his clutches and absorbing with the prize once again. Who says Dean Ambrose doesn't do as he asks? Interesting to know what happens after that. It's all about the money. SmackDown main talking points. We'll just get right into it, guys. SmackDown kicked off this week with Seth Rollins looking for his belt. The World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins kicked off SmackDown without the world title or the authority, reaffirming his belief that he was the greatest World Heavyweight Champion ever. He claimed that he dismantled the Shield, well, it's not easy to say, won the Money in the Bank ladder match, and beat Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania all on his own. In reference to Dean Ambrose stealing his title, Rollins said he wouldn't need anything or anybody to destroy the lunatic fringe at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. A determined Ambrose interrupted from an undisclosed location, disputing Rollins' claims that he achieved his success on his own and declaring himself the rightful heavyweight champion, something he said he proved or died trying at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Primetime Players defeats the Ascension and Lucha Dragons and will get a shot at the New Day for the tag team titles. I'm guessing it'll be at probably Money in the Bank, no doubt, on the pre-show if WWE has their way. The big guy earned his first victory as Intercontinental Champion, overcoming Stardust with an earth-shattering meat-hook clothesline shell-shocked combination. The Diva of Tomorrow sounded off about the Bellas, following Nikki and Bree's use of Twin Magic on Raw during the Divas Championship match. Feeling rejected, two of WWE's scary superstars reunited to focus on the wrath outward, that being the Wyatt family, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. After defeating 15-time world champion John Cena in a champion vs. champion match at the WWE Elimination Chamber, one of the greatest WWE debuts ever, Kevin Owens focused on destroying the champ at Money in the Bank emerged on SmackDown. Addressing the WWE Universe, the brash superstar responded to John Cena's Raw remarks by calling his adversary disillusional and promising to put an end to the hustle, loyalty, respect garbage, which he said the C Nation leader force-fed kids for 10 years. Not just kids, I have to admit. Owens then marked Cena further as he presented the open challenge for the NXT Championship. Zack Ryder answered the call, and in the end, Rollins reigned supreme with a pop-up powerbomb and completely destroyed the Long Island IZ after the bell, and repeatedly hit the brutal finisher on him after the bell, as well as a cannonball in the corner. A statement made for John Cena at Money in the Bank. Neville defeats Kofi Kingston, and again another build-up, another warm-up match for the Money in the Bank ladder match. The Awesome One welcomed Lana onto his always controversial show, questioning why the beauty has parted ways with Rusev. Business really picked up, though, when the Moneymaker introducing Lana's former ally as a surprise guest. A broken Rusev emerged on crutches and begged Lana to give him a second chance. After Lana refused, Dolph Ziggler emerged to escort her from the ring, leaving Rusev fuming inside out. And also, Rusev called Lana a stupid woman cow. That is the gospel truth. Go back and watch it if you don't believe me. He called her a stupid woman cow. No offense, Rusev, but she could be a stupid woman or a stupid cow. She can't be both. English problems. And I'm not big on English. English wasn't my forte at school, but stupid woman cow don't make sense. But it was hilarious. Now for the main event. Roman Reigns and Sheamus. After attacking Randy Orton on Raw, Sheamus went head-to-head with Roman Reigns on SmackDown, aimed speculation that the Celtic Warrior might be trying to take out his Money in the Bank ladder match opponents before the Money in the Bank showdown at the pay-per-view on June 14th. Just when it looked as if the big dog might overcome the first Irish-born world champion, Director of Operations attacked him out of nowhere after the bell rang. Sheamus recovered and re-engaged Reigns, only to suffer an attack from the corporate demon as well. Moments later, Kane stunned the WWE Universe by announcing that he would be the final participant in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Seth Rollins, a possible Seth Rollins versus Kane World Heavyweight Championship battleground. Something to think about, isn't there? Anyway, while I'm here, ladies and gents, boys and girls, children of all ages, I'm going to give you a quick little review of the Elimination Chamber and what I thought of it. Now, the Elimination Chamber is what it is. The match of the night, no doubt, was Kevin Owens and John Cena. Probably the biggest debut in history. No question about it. No question about it. The biggest debut in the history of WWE ended with the C Nation leader falling prey to the dominant NXT champion. Now, I would say it was... Would you say it was a big upset? Probably not. Because despite... I mean, if you've never seen Kevin Owens wrestle, you probably think it was a big upset. But I've seen Kevin Owens wrestle, not in person. I've seen him in the indies and that, and what he can do. Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen, whatever you want to call him. So I know what he could do. And he was dominant in NXT, and he plans to be dominant now on the main roster. So we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. But 5-star match all around, in my opinion, and if not, 4.5 as well. And it was awesome. Zack Ryder even was on the kickoff show with Stardust. But Stardust came out victorious on that one, unfortunately. Good to see Zack Ryder getting some TV time, man. That guy's been relevant since he won the US title from Dolph Ziggler. No, Neville beats Bo Dallas. The former NXT champion collided with Neville former NXT champions collided when Neville took on Superstar, who attacked him back-to-back weeks, Bo Dallas, and he won that one, and he won it again on Raw. I'm believing Bo Dallas is a jobber. Nikki retained the Divas Championship. It wasn't easy, but Nikki escaped Elimination Chamber with the championship. Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, considering the Twin Magic crap on Raw, Nikki has been a respectable, you could say she's been a great champion, you know? I mean, now... I'll do the World Heavyweight Championship match, which ended when Seth Rollins pulled in the referee. It was a great match, but Seth Rollins pulled in the referee, and Dean Ambrose dived on him. You know, he was meant to dive on Seth Rollins, but referee got pulled in by Seth Rollins, and referee got took out. Then Dean Ambrose pinned Rollins. 1, 2, 3. Another referee comes out, disqualifies Rollins, gives the win to Dean Ambrose, but Rollins retains the championship, which is complete garbage. Which is going to lead into the Money in the Bank match, man. But obviously, Ambrose took the title away thanks to a little bit of help from the big dog, and Dean Ambrose is now in possession of the World Heavyweight Championship. But what a crap way to end the match. The guy won. It was Rollins who pulled him in, right? They counted the fall. Dean Ambrose, in my opinion, should be World Heavyweight Champion. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. And I think Rollins will be getting his belt back at the Money in the Bank show, which is complete garbage. Dean Ambrose deserves a push. That's all I'm saying. Right, we'll go to the 2 chamber matches now then, which saw Ryback making his Elimination Chamber match debut, muscled past 5 opponents to win the battle for the vacant Intercontinental Championship, and became the new Intercontinental Champion. Now, the irony of this, for me, was I read on the dirt sheets that the original plan was for Sheamus to be the Intercontinental Champion. So, I don't know where the fuck that went. I don't know how that panned out backstage, but I'd like to know what convinced WWE at that time they were going to put it on Sheamus, but then thought, no, we'll put it on Ryback. I don't know. I'm not disappointed that Ryback won, unlike a certain James Belmont who doesn't like Ryback. That's fair enough, that's his point. And considering what his past, where he beat up CM Punk and this, that and the other, and Ryberg and whatever the fuck, he seemed to have turned over a new leaf. He's not in that stupid Ryback's tag team anymore. I'm willing to give Ryback a chance as Intercontinental Champion. Just the only way, like I said to Mr. James Belmont, shout out to you, Mr. Belmont, we need to get you back on the podcast ASAP. You and the offshoot team. I had a blast with you guys on. I invited you to come on last time around, but I invited you to come on Twitter, but you accused of calling me out. So you want to come on the show? You want to wait another 50 episodes before I come on? That's fine, but the offer's there if you want to come on. I had a blast with you last time, pal. You, Roxy, doing her yelling and that, but I'm willing to give it. But like I said to Mr. Belmont, going back to what I was saying, the only way this would fucking be a clusterfuck is if WWE booked him wrong. If WWE give Ryback strong competition as an Intercontinental Champion, he may turn out to be a good Intercontinental Champion. But like I said, it's WWE booking. Story of this podcast, story of WWE's life, WWE booking. Let's face it, it's not the best thing in the world, is it? Speaking of best things in the world, or lack thereof in this case, the Tag Team Elimination Chamber match for the Tag Team Championships, which was probably not the best thing in the world, quite frankly. With the titles at stake, WWE Tag Team Champions The New Day managed to outlast 5 teams and narrowly escaping with their titles. If WWE are going to do this again, the Tag Team Championships in Elimination Chamber, they might want to think it through. Yeah, they might want to think it through. It was basically put the teams... It was like Elimination Chamber, an original, normal Elimination Chamber, but it was with the teams. You know, they put the teams in there, the teams come out. Obviously, they don't tag or anything like that. They just go in there and just fight. You know, the last team standing walks out with the belts, which turned out to be, unfortunately, New Day. But, yeah, there was really not much to say about this. It was just basically, it was a battle royal. It could have been just a battle royal. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to give this the Elimination Chamber 4 out of 5. For me, it's a lot of rubbish on there. It was a good pay-per-view, but good show, whatever you want to call it. But it wasn't, you know, it was, yeah. I've seen better shows. It was good, but could have been better, in my opinion. Right, with that being said, ladies and gents, boys and girls, children of all ages, I will be back right after this quick timeout with NXT main talking points and results and whatever. So, stay tuned for new episodes of the Wrestling Matters podcast, as well as other great professional wrestling related content. Be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters channel on YouTube at www.youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters. You'll get weekly episodes of the podcast, and you'll get other great wrestling content as well. Be sure to check it out, subscribe, like, and do all that good stuff. The Wrestling Matters channel, where wrestling matters on YouTube. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast, part 3 of the Wrestling Matters podcast, and we'll get right into it. NXT this week was headlined by number 1 contender Finn Balor going one-on-one with Rhino. More on that in a minute. But it kicked off this week with Tyler Breeze going one-on-one with Adam Rose. After Tyler Breeze hit him with a supermodel kick following their victory as a tag team several weeks ago, Adam Rose was out for retribution on NXT. Party Animal was all business as he took Prince Pretty to the mat. In the early moments of the match, though he lost at TakeOver, Breeze seemed to energize by the attention he's gained since then, as he fought through Rose's offense, showed great resiliency before hitting the beauty shot that earned him the victory, and a half-fought one at that. What's next for Tyler Breeze? We'll have to wait and see. Eva Marie revealed that she was in the crowd at TakeOver, unstoppable for a reason, to scout her competition. The red-headed beauty reveals that she is keeping an eye on the women of the NXT, and said she is looking to mix it up between the yellow ropes very, very soon. And she's been training with Brian Kendrick as well. The next match after that was Alexa Bliss and Carmella. After Bliss cost Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy the NXT Tag Team titles a TakeOver, Carmella wasted no time in bringing the fight to her foe, tackling her to the mat right off the bell. The Princess of Staten Island showed she knew her opponent well, avoiding several of Bliss' trademark moves before catching her with a big boot to the head. In the end, though, she wasn't ready for the dirty tactics, as Bliss rolled her up and held the ropes to steal the win. The other match on there was the Vaudevillains versus Jason Jordan and Marcus Lewis. Last week, Jason Jordan rejected NXT newcomer Chad Gable as a tag team partner, instead choosing to team with the returning Marcus to face the Vaudevillains. The utterly terrifying Marcus had not been seen in NXT since last November, when he ran out of the arena after being berated by Tyler Breeze for the unwanted hair removal he suffered at TakeOver Fatal 4-Way. It looked like Jordan had picked up the right partner, as the frightening Frenchman dominated the Vaudevillains, unsettling the NXT universe with the overworldly shrieks. I don't know what the hell that word was, I'm sorry if that's pronounced wrong. However, Marcus and Jordan never got on the same page, tagging themselves into the bout without warning. The Vaudevillains were a well-oiled machine and came out victorious after hitting Marcus with the Whirling Dervish. That's their finishing move. July the 4th, the WWE will host a live event in Japan. I believe it's at the Tokyo Dome. And Mr. Finn Balor will be returning to the Tokyo Dome to face Kevin Owens for the NXT Championship. It was announced by William Regal, so I would imagine Mr. Finn Balor will be returning to familiar grounds July 4th, and I would imagine he'll be coming out with the NXT title. But that's just my opinion. More on that another day. With the NXT Championship match looming in the distance, Finn Balor stepped in the ring with Rhino in this week's main event. Balor used his speed to stay one step ahead of the man-beast until Rhino cut off an attempted dive to the arena floor by steamrolling him in the ring. Balor refused to stay down, as the ECW original overpowered, infuriating Rhino even more. The number one contender found the strength to battle back, stunning Rhino with a Pele kick and drop kicking him in the corner. The Man Beast invaded the coup de grace and attempted to hit the Gore, only for Balor to move out the way. Rhino crashed into the turnbuckles, Balor rolled him up and rebounded to claim the victory. After the match though, Balor celebrated his win, perhaps thinking he could now focus on his title match with Kevin Owens on July the 4th. However, as he posed on the for the NXT Universe on the stage, Rhino came out of nowhere and gored him out of the stage, clutching his ribs as officials helped him backstage, having been served a stark reminder that the Man Beast won't be going anywhere anytime soon. He'll have to go somewhere because at the end of July he'll be coming to ICW rather. ECW, fucking hell. He'll be coming to ICW to face Wolfgang at the Shug's House Party shows. Also, as well, I kinda like the way Rhino's going, because it seems that Rhino is coming back to his old self, his old ECW self. And if you don't believe me, check out the promo he did where he explains his actions. But with that being said, 4.5 out of 5 for the NXT show. That's my rating for it. And with that being said, ladies and gents, I'll be back after this with TNA, main talking points. That's right, TNA Impact. So I don't know why I did that, but hey, I'm going with it, and I'll see you after this.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shugs.
Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestling Matters podcast, and without further ado, I'm not going to waste your time. It's time for TNA's main talking points. Now, this is all leading into Destination X, which is this coming Wednesday, and TNA kicked off this week with Ethan Carter. Ethan invites TNA World Heavyweight Champion Kurt Angle to the ring to consummate the final days, whatever that means, I don't know, the final days as champion. Angle arrives saying the celebration is incredible, but that legends like Vern Gagne and Lou Thesz would roll in their graves if they saw it. Angle concedes to the fact that Ethan Carter III is the number one, but he says that Ethan Carter III isn't next in line for a title shot. EC3 contests, and Angle reminds him that a Destination X is only 1 week away, and that the X Division champion Rockstar Spud has a world title opportunity if he so chooses. Ethan Carter III says he left Spud battered, bloodied, and bald in England. He says he'll make Rockstar Spud an offer he can't refuse. Tyrus Blondes, let's go. After that, a match between Lashley and Eric Young. Won't go into too much details, but I will leave it as this. Eric Young connects with a running neckbreaker that he follows up with a figure four. Lashley powers out of the hold and sends Young through ropes. Young climbs up, lies from the turnbuckle, but Lashley catches him with a belly-to-belly suplex and spine buster. Lashley hoists Young onto his shoulders, setting up for the running power slam. Young rakes the eyes and attempts a power drop. Chris Melendez appears at the top of the ramp. Lashley uses the distraction to hit a spear and get the victory. Melendez storms the ring, but Lashley holds him back from Eric Young. Chris Melendez, Eric Young, very, very soon, I would imagine. Brooke beats members of the Dollhouse, The Rising, and the BDC in a six-man tag, which culminates with this. Loki traps Drake in an abdominal stretch. He breaks the hold to connect with a chop. Loki misses the running clothesline, which creates an opportunity to bring in Drew Galloway. Galloway powers through Loki and changes the complexion of the match. Galloway drops Loki with a huge running boot. Kenny King tries to interfere, but he's countered by Mika. The two spill over the top rope to the floor as Galloway attempts a butterfly suplex on Loki from the turnbuckle. MVP traps Galloway, bringing in Eli Drake. Drake and MVP battle to the outside, with Galloway hung upside down as Loki sets up for the Warriors Ray. Galloway sits up, however, to connect with a belly-to-belly suplex from the top rope. Mika lifts Loki onto his shoulders, and Galloway flies from the top turnbuckle with a clothesline, basically the Doomsday Device, the Rising's version of the Doomsday Device, and gets the win. What is next for this feud with the Rising and the BDC? That's what I'd like to know. What is next for this feud? When's it going to end? With MVP as the leader of the BDC and the reigning ICW Heavyweight Champion as the leader of the Rising. Now, Spud's decision. Spud, however, takes the job. It says he makes him an offer he can't refuse. EC3 says that he wants him to make him chief of staff again. Unlimited contract to make him chief of staff. Basically, have him go back to square one again. But Spud screams, you could take your job, you could take your big nose, you could take your old tired Aunt D, and you can stick him up your ass. Because this might be my 1 in a million shot, but I'm Rockstar Spud, and I'm cashing in my X Division title. JB moves in for the announcement. Destination X. EC3 attacks Spud. Dirty Heels mention that they are 0-2 against the Wolves. All that was about to change, though, wasn't it? Because the match was up next, and Aries connects with a 450 splash, and Rude makes the cover, and Aries fends off Richards. Eddie Edwards kicks out. Aries throws Richards back to the outside and connects with a suicide dive off his own as Rude looks in disbelief. Aries grabs a chair from under the ring. He slides it into Rude. Edwards rolls up Rude for a 2 count. Aries grabs the title and distracts the referee while Rude delivers the low blow and a chair shot that makes the cover, and the Dirty Heels get what they want, and that is 2-1. So they're back in it. Question is, will this end? How will this end? Could they equalise? Or will the Wolves get the victory? Because the Wolves only need 1 victory. Am I even going to talk about what happened with Mickey James and James Storm? Quite frankly, I think it was disgusting and very, very scary. Excuse me. And this thing with Angelina Love and Velvet Sky is really boring me. They have altercations that leads to the arrest, and then the security come out and say that she assaulted a fan, or she assaulted a fan, and they must take her away. So basically, Angelina Love got arrested for her stupidity, which leads to the main event, which culminates with Tyrus hits Spud with 3 backbreakers before tagging EC3. EC3 connects with a splash in the corner, and then sends a message to Kurt Angle using a strong belly-to-belly suplex. Spud slips through EC3's leg to make the tag to Kurt Angle. Angle cleans house. He sends Tyrus over the top rope and slaps on the ankle lock on EC3. Tyrus breaks the hold and traps Kurt Angle in a bear hug. Spud lands a missile dropkick to Angle's back that sends Tyrus topping over. Angle delivers the Angle slam and Spud makes the cover for the 3. Spud and Angle win. However, that was not the story of the match. Post-match, Angle holds up his title. He and Spud come face to face as Austin Aries interrupts, says he'll cash in his feasting for fired briefcase at Destination X against the winner of Angle vs Spud. So basically, there's not only going to be 1 World Championship match at Destination X, there's going to be 2. So it's going to be Kurt Angle vs Spud and the winner versus Aries, which should be very, very interesting. Anyway, that is the end of TNA's main talking points, and after the break I will be back with Ring of Honor, so stay tuned. If you're a fan of the Wrestling Matters podcast, be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters podcast Twitter page at WM Podcast for news, reviews, and upcoming episodes, and you will be let know on various other topics as well in the world of professional wrestling. So if you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, be sure to follow the Wrestling Matters podcast on Twitter at WM Podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast, and it's now time for the Ring of Honor review, just like I said before the break. So here it is. That's right, the Ring of Honor review. Briscoes start off by saying that Dijak is going to get broken their way, and Jay says it's going to be a little preview of Best in the World involving him and Jay Lethal. Now, it kicked off this week with Will Ferrara and Kushida. Advantage Kushida, great dropkick mistake on the moonsault, gets the advantage to Will. Ferrara hits a neckbreaker, gets a near fall, now starts to wear Kushida out, that is. Arm stunning springboard chop. Kushida mounts a fight back with a clothesline, then hits a dive into a DDT, and I believe that was Will that did that, if I remember correctly. Back elbow dropkick gets a near fall by Ferrara. Kushida goes for an armbar and works on the arm toe-to-toe in the middle of the ring. Both men. Then Kushida just lays him out and hits a moonsault but gets a near fall, off the top rope, that is. Will gets 2 quick near falls. Kushida counters a move into an armbar-like move and makes Will tap out and gets the win. Good little match, nothing big, nothing new, but yeah, it worked. Good little match to start off with. Could have been a bit bit on the old better side, but hey, good way to start off. Addiction come out and say that Red Dragon have been bitching and moaning and claim they don't earn things like the Addiction does. If they want a shot at their tag team titles, they will get it next week, and only next week. Next match, so Silas Young versus Watanabe. If I pronounced that wrong, I apologize. I forgot how to pronounce that. Wow. They go toe to toe to start. Watanabe hits a back suplex, goes for a suplex on Young. Young manages to get out of it and hits a second rope clothesline and gets a near fall. Watanabe hits hangman style clothesline, then a neck breaker and gets a near fall. Advantage to the Japanese man. He drives Young into the guardrail outside, takes his boots to the face, and then German suplexes him on the outside. Great counter wrestling until Young hits a TKO and gets the win. Then after that was BJ Whitmer versus Moose, although so we thought. BJ grabs the mic, weasels his way out of the match and says he could beat him if he wanted to, and golds Colby Corino into the match to take his place. So it turned out to be Moose versus Colby Corino instead. Colby slaps Moose, takes it to him, but Moose overpowers him outside, then throws him into the guardrail, then swings him from guardrail to guardrail. Moose powerbombs Colby on the apron, and then on the ropes, and then on the mat outside. Adam throws him back in the ring, and Moose just pins him to get it over with. 1, 2, 3. I hope that Steve Corino comes out of retirement just to face BJ Whitmer. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't think it's going to happen, but surely they're building up to that. That's all I'm saying. Truth says Jay has nothing to worry about. Jay doesn't look like he wants to be in the match of the main event, which was supposed to be Dijak and Jay Lethal versus the Briscoes, but it turned out to be Dijak and Jay Diesel versus the Briscoes instead. Mark all over Dijak from the start. Mark taking it to Dijak. Dijak turns his back and gets kicked in the face. Jay gets tagged in, Jay Diesel that is, and Mark ends up tagging Briscoe. The two Jays go toe to toe. Jay is in a lot of trouble. Briscoe's in control. Briscoe showing great double team wrestling and get a near fall. Jay Lethal messing with the World Championship on the outside. Briscoe sees it, goes over to him, takes it out of his hands, and then Jay Diesel takes advantage. House of Truth starting to show good tag wrestling. Dijak manhandles the World Champion, goes for a suplex, but instead of just suplexes him, he just throws him across the ring and gets a near fall. Briscoe's in control. No, my bad. Good tags in and out. House of Truth, World Champion in control. In trouble, rather. Mark Briscoe gets tagged in and mounts a fight back, kicks House of Truths, both men, and gets a near fall. Briscoe is now in control. Dijak kicks Mark in the face. Jay gets a near fall as ROH goes to break. Back from the break, Dijak just manhandles Mark Briscoe. Mark in trouble. House of Truth showing great tag team wrestling. Mark showing fight and manages to tag in Jay. Fight back is on. Boots for everyone and a backdrop. Jay hits a neck breaker on Diesel, throws jabs, then a discus forearm. Briscoes hit Doomsday Device and get the win. Now, that was the story. Alright, Briscoes get the win. You know, great match and that. But that wasn't the story. After the match, the World Champion goes to hit Jay Dilla on Dijak after diving on him after he took out Mark on the outside. Lethal comes in, takes a swing at him, at the World Champion. World Champion ducks, grabs out of Jay Lethal, and then hits the Jay Driller on Jay Lethal. Statement made of his own. And what he said at the beginning of the show was granted. Because did he get a preview of Best in the World? He may very well have done. 4 out of 5 for the Ring of Honor show. It was okay. Could have been a little bit better for me, but I mean the Colby Corino storyline is getting a little bit stupid now, but hey. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I will be back after this with the return of Friday Night Fight Club. That's right, ICW's Friday Night Fight Club is back on the Wrestling Matters podcast, and it's back right after this, and I'll do some explanation as well about the podcast as well, the ICW podcast, and my ICW podcasts as well. So, be back after this. Peace! For new episodes of the Wrestling Matters podcast, as well as other great professional wrestling-related content, be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters channel on YouTube at www.youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters. You'll get weekly episodes of the podcast, and you'll get other great wrestling content as well. Be sure to check it out, subscribe, like, and do all that good stuff. The Wrestling Matters channel, where wrestling matters on YouTube. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not check out the Wrestling Matters podcast Facebook fan page at www.facebook.com/WM podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
Here's the question, ladies and gentlemen. Who is going to be in charge of that show? So I've been thinking about it, and I think it needs to be somebody that knows the wrestling business like the back of their hand. Somebody that's been in the wrestling business for a long time. Somebody that's gave their life to the wrestling business.
It's me. It's totally me.
Maybe a former WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
Not me, not me, not me.
Maybe a Hall of Famer.
What?
But you know what? I can't. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who it should be. I don't know who it should be.
God! It's Mr. Socko! That can only mean one man will be in charge at the SECC!
It's Mrs. Foley's baby boy, Billy!
Mick Foley is coming to ICW!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Madness podcast, and yes, it is time. It's back. Friday Night Fight Club returns to the podcast. Now, episode 6, this was Friday Night Fight Club. Just to make sure, let me clear something out. You're probably wondering yourself, why am I doing this on this podcast when I've got an ICW podcast that I do? Well, I'll tell you the reason why. It's because I'm doing this on the podcast here. I'm saving the ICW podcast. The ICW podcast is for the big shows. And yes, Spaceballs will be coming soon to the on-demand service, and I will be reviewing that in a future podcast on ICW, so be sure to check that out. Whether it's got these same matches on it or not. The first 5 episodes had the same matches from another promotion, which I'll probably redo again in the near future on the ICW podcast. So it's all coming on this podcast as well, the ICW Friday Night Fight Club. But if you want to get more ICW, go to the ICW podcast, tune into that each and every Tuesday. More on that later. Now, Friday Night Fight Club kicked off this week with Luke King Sharp, well, the return of Friday Night Fight Club, kicked off with Luke King Sharp one-on-one with Kid Fight. Now, apparently this is teacher versus student. Luke King starts talking about Kid Fight's mother and dissing Kid Fight. Double leg takedown by Luke King Sharp. Luke King taking the fight to Kid Fight, and had no effect on the guy. A back elbow from Kid Fight takes control. Luke King Sharp counters DOA, hits a single leg drop kick on Kid, then goes for a spear, does not work. Powerbomb in the corner. Tiger bomb pin. Kid Fight gets a near fall. Kid Fight taking the fight to Luke King Sharp on the top rope. Luke King grabs Kid Fight in a teabag like position. He's grabbed him by the teabag, so to speak. Knocks him off. Misses a frog splash. Kid hits a DVD, then a DOA, which is the brain buster, and gets a near fall. Kid hits a DDT with an arm behind his back kind of move. Gets a DDT but puts an arm behind the back and then drives him down and gets the victory. And then after the match, James R. Kennedy throws 2 5 cards on him. Kid then puts the boots to him, sets a chair on the head of Luke King Sharp. One of Kid's students comes in, which turned out to be, even though he was working the security, to calm Kid Fight down. Kid does not take too kindly to it and insults him. Then the student gets in the face. James R. Kennedy calms Kid down and says the student has his cards marked. Oh boy. Red Lightning comes out, throws his weight around, and says he has been getting things and abusing his power. You know what he's about. But says he's gonna put things right and tell Simon, who he claims walked out on him on the last show after being attacked by Liam Thompson, by the way, which was Flawless Victory, which I'll be reviewing tomorrow. Just bring up a fact, abusing power and abusing Simon, telling him to say sorry and throwing his weight around. Crowd get on his case, and he makes a announcement to the introduction of a women's championship division tournament. That's right, there'll be a women's title in ICW, and the tournament starts at an Edinburgh show and ends at the Fear and Loathing show. Now, what I'm about to say next, you just heard a clip from it in the break. You get to see it full. You'll get to hear me talking about it now, but you'll get to see it on the on-demand service, because the music plays, and out comes Mark Dallas, who basically called out Red Lightning over the internet. He did a video, which I'll put in the description, calling him out, and he put a phone messages and everything, but obviously Mr. Red Lightning did not apply. Says he went mad with power and will not be in charge for his punishment, will not be in charge for the Fear and Loathing show in November. So Mark asks the question, who's going to be in charge? And then he gets to the point where he ends up pulling out something from his pocket, which is a sock, which turns out to be Mr. Socko, and starts talking with the Sock and says Mick Foley wants to be the commissioner, and he tells Red Lightning to have a nice day. Yeah, November 15th, Fear and Loathing. Mick Foley's coming to ICW. After all that, Luke King Sharp is backstage and gets interrupted by the GM, talking about policies and how them two had a tweeting match back and forth and abuse, and Luke King was throwing abuse and this, that and the other, and the GM proceeds to fire King on the spot, and obviously Luke King Sharp is not happy. Then calls out Mick Foley, reminds everyone that he is the boss until November. Well, November 15th at least. Dickie Divers comes out to the ring and holds court. Reminds everyone that he has a title shot and predicts right as soon as he says that, NAK's music would hit, preferably Chris Renfrew's. Chris comes out looking for a fight, walks around the ring, and as that is happening, Stevie Boy, the newest member of the New Age Clique, more on that tomorrow, gets clipped. Then Divers takes down Chris, only for Wolfgang to come out and put a beat down on Dickie. Then Stevie Boy hits the Glasgow Destroyer. Chris then makes a match between him and Dickie on July 26th at Shook's Hoose Party in a ladder match for the Square Gold briefcase, and also proceeds to beat him down with a chair and a ladder. Then Wolfgang sends his own message to the man-beast Rhino by power-driving Drivers off the apron through a table to the arena floor, just like Rhino used to do back in the day in ECW. Mind games have begun, it seems. And Chris then says that at Shook's House Party that it will belong the Shook's House Party to the NAK. James R. Kennedy is backstage and says his patience is very thin. Then says violence plus money equals 55. Mark Coffey and Coach are backstage, says he does not think Trent is prepared, Mark that is, for what is in store. I guess we'll find out because that match was up next. Mark Coffey versus Trent Severin. Toe-to-toe in the ring to start off till Mark hits a dropkick. Mark controlling Trent. Hard-hitting offense by Mark till he makes a mistake, gets hard fury of chops, then gets a hard one from Trent. All from Trent. Hard clothesline from the second rope, gets a near fall. Fight goes outside, Mark hits a pop-up bow bomb on Trent on the apron. Suplex back of the ring, Coffey gets a near fall. Flurry of forearms, then 4 chops, 2 each, back to forearms, a chop, toe-to-toe, hard-hitting stuff by both men. It was very much hard-hitting stuff. It's like something out of Ring of Honor. Headbutt, then Dead Wish forearms, gets a near fall, hard-hitting match. Fury of forearms and a clothesline, gets a near fall for Mark. Trent hits a clothesline of his own and gets a near fall. Tiger suplex, power drive combo, gets a near fall for Trent. Dead Wish, then a brainbuster, gets a near fall, and then another Dead Wish gets Mark Coffey the win in a hard-hitting match. And in a very weird way of showing respect, because Mark shakes his hand and then pushes him away. A clip was shown from Spaceballs, and it appeared to show that Stevie Boy, or appeared to tell why Stevie Boy joined the New Age Clique. So, like I say, it's coming soon to the OnDemand service. I don't know when it's coming, but it says coming soon. I thought it'd be up by now, but obviously not. So, it's coming. Be sure to check it out. And I'll be reviewing that in a future ICW podcast as well. Well, that's sure at least. Mikey backstage says he does not give a fuck why BT came after him. And if someone gets in his face, he's going to get right back at theirs. End of the day, he hurts people. And he does not worry about getting hurt. He does not worry about that. How is he going to worry about BT Gunn? They show a clip of DCT successfully this time around, unlike what happened at Flawless Victory. They show a clip of him proposing to Viper, and Viper accepts. Speaking of Viper, she goes one-on-one with Sami Zayn next. But before that, she announces that she's in the women's title tournament for Fear and Loathing. Well, final to be a Fear and Loathing. Sami tries to take the fight to Viper. Viper splashes her and gets a near fall. Sami hitting and moving till she gets squashed again by Viper, and Viper gets a near fall. Sami rocks her, hits a neck breaker and gets a near fall. Sami manages to take Viper outside and dives on her. Viper hits the Viper driver after Sami slingshots into her. She grabs out of her and then hits the driver and gets a near fall. I don't know if she got a near fall after that actually. Sami hits a German, gets a near fall. Yes, you heard me correct. Viper takes advantage of the mistake and hits the face first powerbomb and gets the win. A nice win for the future Mrs. DCT. Chris takes Chris talks about Mikey on behalf of BT, and says BT rather looks at Mikey as him and says BT hates Mikey. Hell, the New Age Clique hates Mikey, and say NH Clique, NAK are the business. On to the Falls Count Anywhere main event. Mikey Whiplash versus BT Gunn. Fight starts outside, both men go toe to toe, advantage BT. Mikey clotheslines BT into the crowd. Fight in the crowd, Mikey in control. BT catapults Mikey into a wall. Advantage BT, crowd moving out the way. Straight up brawl in the crowd. BT dives on Mikey, fighting in the booth area and then at the bar. BT pushes Mikey through a toilet door. I think Mikey was trying to drag him in at one point, and then BT just went, "Get the fuck out," boom, and Mikey just goes right through the toilet door. Funny as hell. Fight back in the ring. Mikey dives on BT. Mikey goes through another dive, but BT hits a shot to cut him off. BT then argues with a fan, and a fan, for some strange reason, throws a drink in his face, and then BT punches his lights out and tries to get after him. The security's in the way. Mikey dives on the security. BT manages to get out of the way. BT hits Mikey with a drink and gets a near fall. Back in the ring. Mikey hits a single arm spinning powerbomb and gets a near fall, or gets some credibility out of it. Toe to toe in the ring, back and forth. BT manages to hit a gunshot, which is the slingshot cutter, and gets a near fall. BT brings in chairs, sets up two, and BT backdrops Mikey onto them and gets a near fall. BT uses a chair to punish Mikey and gets a near fall. Mikey throws a chair in BT's face. Mikey sets up three chairs on BT's face while BT's in the Tree of Woe. Mikey hits a drop kick. Mikey walks backstage and brings out the same guardrail that he fell through in London and got a concussion from. Mikey hotshots BT on the guardrail, and then BT drops Mikey on the guardrail. Not very nice as well, I might add. BT punts Mikey in the chest and gets a near fall on the outside. BT hits Mikey with the stairs and gets a near fall. The match is a straight up fight, hard hitting stuff. BT takes a backdrop on the stairs in the ring. Mikey gets a near fall out of it. Mikey brings in thumbtacks. Mikey takes a front suplex into the thumbtacks, and BT gets a near fall. Then he locks in a submission, BT that is, while Mikey's in the thumbtacks, but Mikey manages to get out. BT then brings a ladder into play, hits Mikey with a super kick and gets a near fall. BT traps Mikey in the stairs. BT goes up the ladder. Mikey cuts him off, and Mikey manages to hit Zombie Maker from the top of the ladder and gets the victory. Straight up unreal fight. 5 out of 5 for me. I loved it. Very good show to start. I'm guessing it's a new 5-show series, 5-show weekly series of the Friday Night Fight Club. So, I don't know, they did 5 episodes last time around, and then they went straight into Spaceballs, so I'm guessing it's another dose of that again. So I'm guessing it'll go up to 10, and then we'll get Spaceballs. I don't know. But other than that, episode 6 of the Friday Night Fight Club was a hit. 5 out of 5 for me. I really enjoyed it. More on that next week. And I'll be back after this with the final part of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Stay tuned. Be sure to tune in every single Tuesday now for the Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra, where I'll be hosting a podcast on one promotion and one promotion only. ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling, the hottest promotion in Scotland. Well, I'll be reviewing their shows.
Oh my God!
Talking ICW.
That's 13-14!
And who knows, maybe getting some guests on. So be sure to tune in to the Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra ICW podcast, Insane Championship Wrestling, every Tuesday on YouTube, Podomatic, Stitcher Radio, downloaded free at iTunes, Mixcloud, and SoundCloud. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
World, look into my eyes. When you see me on a show, when you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world. We are ICW, and you're gonna know our name. Here we fucking go!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the final part of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Now, before I go, guys, hope you've enjoyed the podcast. I just want to bring up something that's going to happen next week. Now, episode 63, I mentioned this on Facebook during the week. I have an announcement. I'm building up towards an announcement. Now, I would have said it on this episode, but I left it for episode 63 because I may do it. You know, I may say it on there, the episode thing, and it allows me to think about it a little bit more as well to see whether or not it is the right move to make. So tune in next week for episode 63, where I'll have Swiss Bingus on. Old Bingus himself will be on to make his debut, so make sure you tune in for that. And we'll see where it goes, and I may do it, I may postpone it, but guaranteed at some point I will talk about it next week on the podcast. Also, you can don't forget to check out the Wrestling Matters podcast, as well as the ICW podcast on OSW TV, oswtv.co.uk, Only Scottish Wrestling, the Wrestling Matters podcast affiliates. Shout out to you guys, and as well, shout out to you, Billy Strachan. Now, also, be sure to check out the other crew as well, RFPW Official on Twitter, the YouTube games promotion that he does. I believe it's with, it's a very old WWE game that he uses, but he does a good job. Be sure to check him out, and also go and check him out on Twitter as well, at RFPW Official. Go and check him out. Go and check out his Twitch channel as well, because I'm sure it'll be on there at some point, so be sure to check that out and show him some love. Shout out to Roxy, shout out to James Belmont and Michael Rodriguez, the offshoot team. Guys, I want you on the show to have some more fun again like we did last time. And James, like I said, the last time you were on the show, man, you complained to me about not being on. It took you about 50 shows to come on, and there was a reason for that, but you came on and you said you had fun. If you want it to be another 50 shows before you come on, that's your problem, not mine, okay? Like I say, the invitation's there. Come on board, man. Let's have some more fun like we did last time. Now, also shout out to Vicky Earls, Darren Dyer, and Tim Vicious, at Tim Vicious on Twitter, at The Irish Commodity on Twitter, as well as at Axel Mulligan on Twitter as well. Be sure to check out at Roxy's Room as well. That's Roxy's YouTube show's Twitter page as well. Be sure to check that out. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to tune in tomorrow for the ICW podcast, Flawless Victory. Probably the most shocking one out of the lot. May 3rd, Flawless Victory, the night the New Age Clique changed ICW again. You want to know what the hell happened? I suggest you tune in tomorrow for the ICW podcast, unless you've watched it on the ICW OnDemand service. More of ICW's Friday Night Fight Club next week. Wow, mind control, sick. More of that next week, as well as Ring of Honor, WWE, and TNA, and NXT too, don't forget that. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Anthony Walker. You've been a beautiful audience, as always. Thank you so much for taking the time to show your support to the Wrestling Matters podcast. Facebook.com/WM podcast. Hit the like button. I want 337 likes. Be sure to get up to 500. That would be greatly appreciated. At WM podcast on Twitter. And until next time, thank you so much. Peace out.